as I said, Thrive is a session where I get to share some of my life lesson, some of my lessons, some of my meditation, some of my gleanings from reading, from observations, from interactions with a cross segment of audience comprising mentees, family members, friends, and colleagues, as the case may be. And it's an opportunity for me to get to share some of these things that I'm learning. I'm trying to see if I can make somebody else admin. I hope you won't mind helping us to also admit people in, so that I can focus on just the presentation. So you and Mary should help us to admit people as they are coming in, please. Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
I believe we can all see my screen. So,
yes, sir.
Thrive is more or less a live sharing session, because the topics in Thrive, they are not just the kind of topics you hear in motivational cycle, in religious cycle, or in any other circle where, maybe workshop, or because it's a mixture of very unusual kind of teachings, if I may call it that, very unusual, not so common, not the kind of things that you hear maybe in regular settings. But because I tend to listen to myself a lot, I tend to extract learnings and gleanings from observation, from interaction, and some of those I codify into a body of lessons, a body of resources that I also share with my family members, as the case may be, when we are talking, or with my colleagues, when we had the privilege of physical office pre-COVID, and then now another set of audience, because I think at some point we started this internship program at TRW Consult, where we have people who want to learn and or who improve their writing skills also joining us. And then, so apart from teaching the technicalities of career success for a content or communications career, I also use the Thrive session to talk about the hardcores of personal success, organizational success, or career success, as the case may be. So today, the topics we are looking at is called Kudos and Knocks, how to discern the feedback that life is giving you. We're looking at kudos and knocks, how to discern the feedback life is giving you. And this is the 23rd edition of Thrive. And some bit of background. I said this is 24th, this is the 23rd edition. We started, I think, in 2016 or 2017. If I check the record, I'll be able to find that out quickly. And these are some of the topics we've had to discuss because of the engagement in the session. We started with a defining topic, which is self-identity and definition. Self-identity. How do you define yourself? How do you identify who you are? And why? I remember the main argument in that session was that there's so much noise made about purpose. You must know your purpose. You must identify your purpose. Do this and all that. But purpose, the way I see it, speaks to what? And my argument is that there's no talking about what without first determining who. You've got to settle the issue of your personal identity before you can start talking about what you are meant to do. Purpose speaks to what you are meant to do. But self-definition identity speaks to who you are. Like we know, a teacher teaches. a lecturer lectures, a driver drives. So is the person, is the calling, is that person that defines what you do. So my opinion is that you've got to know who you are first before you start rummaging for what your purpose is on earth, what you are meant to do. And then after that, we now lay the foundation. After that foundation of self-identity and definition, we now also now talked about purpose, and we used 4 sessions, 4 different sessions of Thrive. Now it's done monthly to talk about purpose. Very, very engaging and very robust discussion we had there, because not everybody came and then they shared their own opinion about the way they saw purpose, the way they are pursuing it, and I also have to share my own reasoning. I'm reading, from research, from information. After that, we looked at another session called the 3-step leap. The 3-step leap, and that speaks to how to move from where you are to where you ought to be. What are the 3 steps you need to take? Oh gosh, I think we have some
Hi guys.
okay.
Hey Arthur.
I just want to say
We have some
I've muted them.
Bob, mute yourself, Bob.
What is this? What is this, guys? Please don't show this.
okay, so
Okay.
I was talking about the 3-step leap. That's when you identify where you ought to be. What are the 3 steps you need to take to get you from where you are to where you ought to be? And then there's another topic we also looked at. We look at the missing link. What could be the missing link when things don't seem to be working out for you the way you desire them, the way you plan them to be? And then we also looked at a strategic positioning for success, how to position yourself for success in different areas of life, be it career, be it business, be it marriage, be it family. I mean, whatever area you've identified success to be for you. Then also how to become a valuable person. What are the things you need to do to make yourself valuable? Then we considered becoming and unbecoming. What are those dynamics at play that inform how people become what they end up to be in life, or unbecome something else from what they desire to be? Those are the relationships, the interactions with people in our lives, with people outside our lives, I mean, in the society, how they inform what we become or what we unbecome in our lives. Then we took a moment to look at, a week to look at how to write attention graduate reports for Thrive. And then we also looked at one topic called conceive, build, and sustain. Conceive, build, and sustain. How to conceive an idea, a project, how to build, and how to sustain it. Then we also looked at how to turn setbacks into success. I think that's when we started. That's when we started this. Was it this year? Last year? Because after some years, I mean, we took a break, but we now came back last year, and the first topic we looked at was how to turn setbacks into success. Then next after that, we looked at what is the main thing you need to do to become great in life? What is that one thing you need to do to achieve greatness in life? And then next after that, we looked at the Destiny series. That we've had so much said about destiny. And what is destiny? How do we conceptualize it? How do we define it? How do we achieve it? How do we live it? How do we fulfill it? And so we use three sessions to discuss destiny in a series. And then after that, we talked about what are the things that you need to do in terms of how to conceptualize your values in life and how to turn your values into a success, how to turn your value into a success system. So we also looked at that topic, and that was a two-part session. And then another topic we also considered was how to create something out of nothing and make one to become plenty. How to create something out of nothing and make one to become plenty. Then we discussed the dynamics of calling. The dynamics of calling. I think that was the last session we had in February this year. What are the dynamics of calling? We all talk about, or we've heard about calling. What are the dynamics? What makes a calling? How do you achieve it? How do you fulfill it? How do you turn it to a lifestyle, something that you do on a daily basis? And today we are looking at the topic called how to design and utilize the feedback life is giving you. How do you identify what are the feedbacks that life is giving you as an individual, and how do you, turn them into something that you can utilize for your own personal success or on your life's journey? And in terms of reference, justification for that we use, and in terms of for Thrive, we usually look at the Holy Bible as a reference literature. So I always say not as a religious treatise, but as a reference literature for some of these things that we talk about. And why we use that, because Benedict, I think, is known to us, so we can allow to be in. It's because of his enduring nature. It's been around for so long, even till this date. Some of those papyrus, some of those scrolls that were used to, that were written, that formed the Bible, are still being found in different places around those Mesopotamia area. Talking of Dead Scrolls, Dead Sea Scrolls, or Dead Sea Scrolls, some of those, because when those prophets, those scribes, when they wrote some of those things that we are reading in this scripture, some of them were hidden because some of them were being persecuted, or maybe the other external factors came to come and overrun the community. They will go and bury and hide those writings in I think we know Linus Barry, so we can let him in. They will hide them in caves, in holes, and some of those are still being found till date. That's why I think that's one of the there's a saying that sea that is called the Dead Sea is contains one of the greatest riches in the world. And there are so much riches in that sea. It's called the Dead Sea. But it has so many wealth, so many resources. But you won't find, I don't know if you find, if they found any, but around the crevices, around the seas, where all these prophets, when they went to bury the stuff, they may not even be prophets, they may be scribes, maybe chroniclers. For every king in those days, they have chroniclers, people that historians, people that document things that are happening, what they did and all that. So those accounts are what we are seeing that formed, particularly in the Old Testament of the Bible. So some of those things, maybe the king may have maybe like different scholars or scribes that write the accounts of the kingdom. And so when they now harness those things, when they look at those accounts, they see that they are the same. So that's most of those things we read in the Old Testament. That's how we found out how they came to be. If you read maybe someone like Jeremiah, Ezekiel, particularly those that live around the same time, they will write about the same thing, but from their own perspective. So, and some of those there are others that we don't even know about, or they are lesser known. And so most of those accounts are being seen and they are being verified by archaeologists, by historians, and by anthropologists, and they are saying that this accounts actually happened, and we're able to trace the time, the date in history, usually it's called BC or BCE, where those accounts happened. So because of its enduring nature, I believe it makes for a good reference material for us to be able to look at life from the lenses of what is saying, what has happened to somebody else, what and how do we benchmark, or how do we marry that to what is happening in contemporary times. And so that is, and because most of those places are also universally applicable, we can apply them universally to different circumstances and situations, and then they are also relative to us. We can relate to some of the episodes, some of the issues that have happened to people in the course of what we read in the scriptures. And because as what I actually grew up reading, I think so it just makes more sense for me to be able to talk more from it than any other. I've read, as I said, I've read Quran a bit, because one of my, in fact, my first PA was a Muslim Singat. Singat, I could not Singat. The Singat generously donated a Quran to me, to read, and during one of these our interactions, I have, and very interesting. I mean, I was reading it in the office and all that. So, but I've read more of the Bible, so I can speak more to what I've learned from there. And so that's why we use the Bible mostly as our sources of. But if you have any in the course of, if you have any other references from any, because it's not really religious, and even this particular topic, we are not looking at it from a religious lens at all. We are looking at it from life as in life. There's little or no religious reference here. But if you know of any that maybe you've read and you'd like to share with us, it's a sharing session. So please feel free to share with us, and we'll learn from you, because the idea is for us to learn from one another and become better from what we are learning. And there's just a little recap of what we discussed in January. In February, we considered a calling. How do you distinguish a calling versus a wannabe? We identify what a calling is, or who is a called, somebody that is called, and who is a wannabe, somebody who wants to be like those who are called. And I think, interestingly, I think I remember Lockman, who is there today, actually said something that, okay, well, you can, I don't know how I get that question accurately now, that why, you can aspire to be something, or to be a role, to assume a calling, and then that will make you wanna be. What you're trying to say is that, okay, well, it's not as if maybe by aspiring to be something, that doesn't make you fake. But I know we are talking about when you have a particular calling, and when your calling, you called yourself to do that thing, and your calling is not genuine, your calling is not benchmarked or founded in core values, because each of us, as we are over 7 billion people on earth. I think we've hit 8 billion people on earth, and they are uniquely different. There are certain things that are just different to each of, maybe not too dramatically different, but we have some unique elements to us that no other person has. And that is where we can, okay, and that means that we have certain values that actually inform those uniqueness. So it's always better when you talk in terms of your own areas of strength, your own areas of value, your own areas of core expertise, or what the endowments you have, how they relate to what you do in terms of your calling, or pursuing the calling, or living a purpose, living a destiny, or living a particular role that you've been, either you've been called or you've been appointed to take on. And I also remember very interestingly that Chukuma, who's also here today, talked about his own personal experience as well, being a teacher and then having to, maybe having to struggle in certain areas of his teaching, maybe due to maybe his interactions. And I said these things, learn some of them from interactions, from observation, interactions with his principal, that's the person he reports to, and his own style of doing his fulfilling his calling as a teacher, and the feedback he's getting from maybe the principal is reporting to, and I just said, well, maybe you are not meant to be in the classroom, or maybe you're not meant to teach at that particular level. Maybe your level is either higher or you should be taking a lower level, or maybe in a different segment entirely, which you have to find out. Because the thing about purpose, about destiny, yes, people can guide you, they can discuss with you and then prod you to get them. But my very strong belief is that nobody can tell you that this is what you are meant to do, because they did not create you. You usually have to find that out from God. If anybody is telling you, I can tell you your purpose, I would think the person is a fake because only God can tell you your purpose, because it's one that created you. So, but human beings are there as guideposts. They can guide you. They can give you feedback that will help you to dovetail on what you are meant to do. But they may not be the one to tell you, yes, this is what you are got to do, because nobody created anybody, except maybe you clone something, then you can now define what the nature of what you have cloned. But since we are all created by God, is the one that has the manuscript or the manual of our calling, and he knows what he's called us to do. So we always have to find out from God or from meditation or observation, what is that our purpose is, or what is that our calling or our destiny. They will also look at people, reasons people call themselves. Some people are self-called, maybe because of glamour, maybe particular profession or vocation seems to have more popularity, seems to be making more money. So people leave their own primary calling and they go to answer the calling of another. And that is bad. That is not going to lead anybody anywhere. My thinking is that, see, there's no calling you are called in life that will not come with its own level of challenges, will not come with its own level of issues. So why not? So you have your own calling to know and then to identify and then to live by it. And your calling or your purpose or your destiny has its own challenges. So why leave your own and go to start to now fulfill the calling of another, and then you are now getting the knocks from another person's calling? Why not just, take the one for your own, bear your own issues, rather than going to bear somebody else's issues, and then you now still come back and now still come and bear your own, come and carry your own consequences. So it's better to just identify this thing of time and then take on the issues. As you proceed or as you advance in fulfilling them, rather than you carry somebody else's edicts, and when you now realize that you have made a mistake, you now start to follow your own path, you now start to take edicts again. That's why most people don't get to that El Dorado in terms of destiny, because they will have wasted so much time and dissipated energy, dissipated resources, bearing somebody else's burden. So when by the time they now navigated to now get to their own, they probably will not have enough steam, enough stamina, enough resources to now weather the storm of their own. And maybe they just give up along the way, or they just cave into the challenges and they just throw in the towel, and then that is it. So we need to get to know what we are meant to do, what is our calling, what is our purpose, what is our mission, and then let's try and fulfill it on time. Then we looked at some attributes of calling. What are the attributes of a calling? How do we know, or what are the things that stand out? This person is called. And then what are the consequences for not answering a call if you have a calling on your life, or for not utilizing a gift? Because every calling has a gifting attached to it. If you're not utilizing your gifting, what are the consequences? Yes, I know, the religion tells us, and Christianity, Islam, and other religions, Judaism, most of these popular religions tell us about the afterworld, what happens when we are dead, that there's a day of judgment. So most religions talk about that day of judgment. However, we seem to be talking about the days of judgment in terms of how you live your life holy, you did not offend people, you did not, you were very pious. We don't look at the gifts and the calling, the resources that we are entrusted with, that will also be judged based on them. And what we discussed then at that session was that, see, for every gift you do not utilize, you will be judged on account of it. Because it will be asked of you, why would God decide to give you a gift for music, or a talent in drawing, or a resource in people engagement, or in public speaking, in leadership, and then you do not use it? And I think that's why Jesus Christ, when he was talking, he talked about a particular parable of the talent, that the master gave to each of his servants talents according to their abilities, according to their endowments. And when he came, he asked him, what have you done with the talent I've given you? And I think that's where the word talent actually emanated from. So what have you done with that resources I've entrusted to you? So judgment is not going to be about how you live your life holy, how you live your life righteous. You're going to be judged based on the resources you have, or the gifting that you are entrusted that you do not fulfill. So it's now best to get to know what are those giftings that I have, and how do I put them to use? And some of us will also think, maybe I have this gifting, I have this talent, I should just go and use it to start a business or to start something. No, some gifting are actually even meant to serve others. They are meant to serve maybe in administration. If you have a gift in administration, for instance, doesn't mean that you are supposed to go and start a business and start running it, because every business can do with administrators. Every business, if you are a human engagement person, every business can do with engagement. And it's not just business, it could be a non-profit, it could be any project. They can make do with any skill, any resources, any talent that we have. So we need to know that it's not just the fact that you have a calling or you have a gift means that, okay, I should go and start running my own show. No, you've got to know, because all these things, they are complementary. Every gift complements or feeds off each other. Every calling is meant to serve another calling. So we are all interrelated. This Strive session I'm doing, I'm talking here and all that, I will have struggled considerably without the person of Mary, because she is my EA, my executive assistant, and she does lots of the administrative. She takes over the administrative end of it. She's the one that publishes the quotes. She's the one that manages the website, because it's a website where I share some of this, my opinions and all that. She's the one that does that. So I just focus on what I need to do. So the point is that the fact that somebody has, I have this talent, I have these resources, I have this gifting, means that, no, I should run solo. You cannot run solo. Even me that I'm talking to you, there are people that I serve with my own gifts, with my own talents. I run some businesses, and those businesses, they work, they serve people, they serve people's needs, they meet certain needs of people. So yeah, we need to pause at some point. So that's the beauty of calling. You have to know that your calling is not just for yourself. It's not just for you to run solo. The callings feed up each other. I mean, this calling helps others. This calling helps. Another example. All my life, I've been a writer. I've been writing since I was very young. I've been writing and all that. But and I started writing. I wrote my first novel, which was a Yoruba novel, fashioned after Dio Fagunwa's Fagunwa's Magical Realism, The Adventure of You. I mean, and I wrote that book, I think maybe when I was in primary 4 or 5, in that early stage. Then after that, I wrote another notes and all that. And I from that every year I was making it a point of duty to write novels that were never published since 1988 or so, or 89. I've been writing and they were not published. Then, unfortunately, or fortunately for me, I now started writing an editorial company. And in that company, we've done books for people. We pushed out books, and my own books were published. So you can imagine the irony of this of life. I mean, we're putting everything into helping to get the books published and all that, to get the books written, edited, refined, published, or marketed. For even me, my own books were not. So something would be like, was it last 2 years ago? I said, hey, boy, this is not funny. I'm approaching 50. What will I say? Okay, yes, I have a business, but where are my own books? And that was like a moment of good for me. Hey, if God should still do something about your books, yes, there's this part of my life that I could help people to write books, to author books, and then to publish them, they pay. And then we move on. Everybody's happy. Those that do the work get the paid money, and we move on. But what about my own? So I had to now, at that point, have to sit down. Hey, what do I need to do about this? I need a team that also need to work, because the really point is that I don't have the time that I used to have again. I don't have the kind of energy I used to have. That is no more there. So I need to now constitute a team, another team, to now start to work on my own manuscripts, on my own books. And luckily for me, because I'm always thinking, I'm always scribbling, I'm always jotting, I do sessions like this. Apart from Drive, as I said, we should talk in the office, and I record some of those sessions. So I have to now, okay, please guys, I need to work on this. So I have to now constitute a team, an editorial team, to start working on my own manuscript as well. So with the help of the editorial team, I think among us, Mary, of course, being the administrator of the whole thing, she's one managing the workflow, have the likes of Big, Ife. I think I saw Ife join us earlier, and then Kenny. So they were now lucky. So among the 5 of us, we now have, okay, we have these books we need to push out. This is the book we are pushing out for this month. We now started working on that. I was like, geez, will I be able to do this no matter? I would have been able to do it, because the energy I used to have then, I don't have it any longer. The gospel, I don't have it any longer. I don't even think they are edited the way they edit. These days, I think they even are better editors than myself, because maybe they have less distraction than myself. So that is a calling. They have the individual gifts, and we all bring this gift together to serve a purpose of producing these books. And more credit to them. We've done maybe like 5, 6 books since we started late last year, maybe middle last year. So that is the way calling works. It always complements one another. It always, I'm sorry, I'm taking too much into even calling. Our topic today is a bit different. So let me just move away from here. So, but how do you identify your calling? So this has just recap of our last session. Now, today we are looking at how to design the feedback that life is giving you. How do you design the feedback that life is giving you? And as you know, we always talk about, we always look at the keywords, and based on dictionary defines feedback as information. That's another keyword. The keyword is feedback. And in that keyword, in defining it, define on that keyword, information about reactions. That's another very strong keyword. Information about reactions to a product, to a person's performance of a task, or whatever it is. So what is a feedback? Feedback is information that you receive based on how your message, your output, your activities were received, were perceived, were interpreted, or analyzed by the audience. So that is what feedback is. It can be you do something or you do not do something, and you get a feedback based on how the external factors react to that your activity or inactivity. And dictionary says that it's used as a basis for improvement. Feedback doesn't end in itself, although in communication, we say that no communication is deemed to be effective until there's a feedback. The ultimate end of every communication exchange is feedback, because you are exchanging information so that you can get a response, you can get a reaction, you can get an action. But when you're now looking at feedback now also leads to, because communication is a cycle, it's a process, it's a cyclical process. That feedback now also informs the next line of communication, the next content of communication they are going to share. So feedback is that reaction, that information that you get about the reaction to that exchange that you have put out. And then feedback actually comes to us in positive or negative. Oh, actually, I put positive or positive. In positive or negative slant. It comes in positive or negative slant. That's where feedback comes around. When they are positive, then they are kudos. When they are negatives, they come to us as knocks. They come to us as either positives, kudos, or negatives, which are knocks. And where do we get feedback? Where do we get feedback? Essentially, you get feedback from God. But that's even the most difficult feedback to be able to identify, because how many of us have seen God? We've not seen God at any time. We've not, maybe most of us have not even heard from him talking to us. So how do we know when he's giving us feedback? So it can be very dicey to get feedback from, to say that this feedback is from God. I know people these days, they abuse that. They use that to control people, because most of us believe, okay, yes, there are some people who are more spiritually attuned, who are more spiritually mature, who are more spiritual than we are. So they should be able to tell us the mind of God. And that leads to puppeteering. So we now become puppets to those people that we believe should tell us the mind of God. God didn't come to us so that we should be working with mediums or with mediators. At a point, that's the norm, or that was the norm. But I think at a point it changed with that new covenant, with the New Testament. It changed that, because the moment that Jesus Christ died and there was this tearing of the veil, he made himself accessible to all of us. We should be able to access him on our own. But yes, it's not as if we should now discard or disregard the roles of clerics, prophets, pastors, clergies in our lives. But the point is that we can access God on ourselves. To know his mind about us, to know his will, his intentions about our lives, about our endeavors. We shouldn't just entirely rely on external or others, because the truth is that we all hear in parts and we know in parts. Nobody knows everything. Nobody is omniscient. Only God is omniscient. So it's possible that you hear what somebody says, and then the person didn't get the full details of, and then maybe they tell us, and then we go to town with it. But we can get feedback from God, even though that's a bit most difficult to do, particularly if you don't know how he talks to you. But once you know how he talks to you, and he doesn't have to talk to you from maybe when you pray, maybe two people, somebody tells you something and you pray, but you have to know this is how God talks to me. And then you'll be able to now go for that as your own feedback mechanism. So from God, we get feedback. From the inner recesses of our mind, we get feedback. Personally, our body gives us feedback. There will be a time you are just feeling so tired and you can't do any other thing again. That is a feedback. That is your person, your personnel giving you feedback. And maybe you want to do a creative piece and you are having a headache and you cannot get, that's feedback. So we get feedback from God, from external sources, and then from ourselves, from internal sources. And then still talking about external sources from either from home, we get feedback from our family members, be it your spouse, be it your children, be it your siblings, be it your parents, be it your uncles. We get feedback from family circles, people who are close to us, who know us, who know what we do and the way we do things, and they give us feedback. We also get the feedback from school. All of us here probably attend schools and all that. And when we, at some point we have to write tests, we have to write exams, and the examiner gives up the markers, that's a feedback. They put comments on our papers, that's a comment, that's a feedback. At work, when we start working, we report to people either who are superiors or we work with our teammates, and they have to review our work and they give us feedback. That's a feedback on a peer level or maybe vertical level when it's from a higher authority. And that vertical or horizontal can work in any setting. It can work at home, it can work, the only place it can't really work is from God, because where God is concerned, it's always a vertical kind of relationship because he's up, we are down. But every other inner recesses from my own life, I get feedback. My body gives me feedback about the way it's feeling. My mind gives me feedback about what it can take at a certain time. And that's just the way it is. But once every other one at home, at school, at work, in the community can either fall into vertical or horizontal feedback. When it's vertical, we are dealing with a higher level of authority who reviews our work, who reviews our action, who observes what we do, and they stop that. Oh, kudos, you are doing well. Please continue that. And that's a feedback. So and in the community, we get feedback. In public space, we will do something and public reaction, give feedback. That's on a massive scale. So does anybody know any other place where we can get feedback apart from the ones that we've listed here? Anyone wants to enlighten us, want to share with us where you think we can also get feedback apart from these spaces or these arenas that we've listed here? Okay, if there's no other one, okay, I'll just proceed. So some uses of feedback. You use feedback for, like, when we're reading the dictionary, it tells us, it's used for improvement. So feedback are used for, they are for us to improve ourselves. When we get feedback, it's not usually, some of us may take it personally, we may not take it too kindly when we give feedback. If I always say that I don't give, but I work with, but my feedback will not always be nice, really, but it's not as if maybe I have any bad. I don't wake up in the morning and say, this person, I'm going to make their day bad. No, it's just okay. That's just the way it is. When it comes to work, I can be blunt. So feedback will not always be positive, but they are meant for personal improvement. They are meant to improve us. Feedback are meant for us to improve personally. When feedback comes, you should take them as a cherished treasure that gives you the opportunity to what? To improve yourself. And then feedback helps us to also improve our processes. They are meant for us to improve our processes. When we get feedback about what we are doing, a feedback can be, okay, maybe you can do this better. Instead of doing it A, B, C, D, E, F, why not just do A, D, A, C, E, G, just can we change the order of how it's done, or you change the arrangement. So feedback also comes for us to be able to improve our processes. They are information that we need to improve our process. And another useful feedback is to help us to now produce better outcomes next time that we try that thing, next time that we do that thing, to produce better outcomes. And I think one of the sessions we had recently, we were talking about how to create something out of nothing and then make one to become many. We looked at that, particularly looking at how God creates things. I love, in fact, God is my favorite topic. I like talking about God, not as I always say, not as a religious, but I was telling my wife, I said that when we post God, we post God too much into religion. We can get to know God from religion, help us to maybe to access God, but don't limit your knowledge of God to just religion. God is bigger than any religion. Is God. If you find yourself in just traveling anywhere you are, then you're going to the hinterland and you'll be seeing all these gargantuan mountains. You think those mountains know religion? And you see nature. When you access God in nature, geez, nature doesn't know religion, nature doesn't know who is that and all that. So we've got to appreciate God in the fact that He's massive. It's massive, it's bigger than religion. That, in fact, one of the songs I always like, this song that they are bigger than what people say, it's bigger than what is being preached to us, what we are being taught. It's bigger, it's great, it's awesome, it's gargantuan. When you travel and you are in the sky and just looking at a sea of clouds, where could this be? And that spread of who did all this? When you go out of the earth and you see the entire how this our head that is so big and huge looks so small from space. God is bigger than religion can ever portray to us. So, and when we're talking in terms of outcomes, feedback helps us to improve our outcomes. What do we need to do, to get this done in a better way? So we're talking how God created the heavens and the earth, and He keeps going back to what He has created the previous day, and He will bring out something else from it. He will bring out something else from it, because that is how He created us. Just from saying, let there be light, and the light happened, and then created seas, created land, from land side, from sea, created birds. So He created fish and all the mammals, all the sea creatures. From land, He created land. From land, He created what was it called? He created plants. From plants, He created trees. He created human beings. Just by going there, and then He was getting better outcomes at every time He visited what He has done. And so when you get feedback, because He will say, and you look at this thing, it was very good, but that it is not perfect. And we will still go back to it. So feedback, they help us to produce better outcomes, and they also help us to scale and to do more. When we need to scale our efforts, we need to make it more or make it bigger or make it higher. Feedback helps us to know we need to scale this. You can't continue to do the same thing and expecting, to a better result. No, you've got to do more if you want to get a better result. So feedback is what will help us to know, yes, we need to scale. Yes, we need to widen our horizon. We need to improve, or we need to increase our output. That is feedback. Feedback helps us to do that. It also helps us to know what we should continue or what we should repeat. Feedback helps us to know what we should continue and what we should repeat in our lives, in our processes, in our activities and our endeavors. They also help us to know what to stop. Feedback helps us to know what to stop. Say, stop this. You've got to stop. Feedback helps us to know. And it can be across any level. It can be at home, in family, at work, in school, wherever we find ourselves, in the marketplace, in the business world, in any way. Feedback helps us to know, when you are singing, I think there's a Yoruba proverb that when you are singing in the marketplace and nobody is dancing, then shut up. Shut up. What are you? We are singing, nobody is singing along with you, nobody is dancing. Hey, guy, we do something else. So it helps us to know what we should stop doing, what we should discontinue, what we should desist from doing. So I know the topic says feedback of life, but do you think life gives us feedback? If you think so, can you give us example? How does it give us, and can you give us example? Please, this is just for us to also share our own opinion about feedback. And if you think no, why do you think life does not give us feedback? So I will just pause a little so that we can all participate. You can take maybe two comments for those who believe is yes, or those who believe is no. Please, if you are willing to talk, just unmute yourself and let's hear from you. Does life give feedback? Hello, guys. This is not supposed to be a monologue. It's supposed to be an interactive experience. Who wants to share with us? Do you think life gives feedback? If you believe so, why? Okay. Drivers, we are people that know, so we should be able to let's share our opinion, let's share our view. No answer is wrong, as I always say, and no answer is entirely right, because as I say, we all know in parts, and we can only speak in part as well. So there's no correct answer, there's no wrong answer. In fact, we just be able to learn from you as well, to learn from your own take. Anybody willing to share with us? Does life give feedback? If your answer is yes, can you give us examples? And if your answer is no, can you tell us why? Okay, but if you are not willing to talk, you can drop your comments in the comment section, and I will read them as soon as I see that there's a comment there. When I see there is a comment that we need to read out. So while we ruminate over that, while we try to gather our thoughts together or to articulate our thinking, I will just proceed. But once any thought comes to you, please share with us so that we can all learn from you. As I say, sharing and learning process, and we need to make the most of it. And who knows, maybe you just be what you are going to say, may just be what somebody will take home from this session, and not all the jargons or all the things I've been saying from the beginning. So looking forward to seeing our comments. And if you want to talk, please feel free to stop at any time and to share your thoughts. And I'll be so glad to listen, and then to also let's deliberate on it together. So yes, life gives feedback. That's my opinion, and that's what informs the topic. And here's some of the examples of life's feedback. They can be broadly classified into physiological or biological feedback. That's when your body is telling you, man, you've got to, you just wake up, I'm feeling energetic, I'm feeling fresh, I can do this, I can take this thing on. That's a feedback. It's a feedback to get to work. It's a feedback to be productive. It's a feedback to be effective. It's a feedback to do something constructive, do something productive, do something profitable. But when your body is like, I can't take this line, I've got to just crash. And that is a feedback. That is a feedback. It can be mental and psychological. When your mind is the field where the activities are going on, and it's like, hey, I can't take in, I'm reading, I can't read any more page, or I can't read any more chapter from this point. That's a feedback. Or you want to read, you want to do something, and your mind is so clouded, and you have this mental psychological block. That is a feedback. Because we all exist in, I was doing something yesterday, and I saw a term called biosphere. Biosphere is speaking to where human life, and I think so, the biological sphere, sort of merging the world. Biosphere is where humans exist, or not, sorry, where life exists, life life as in human lives, animal lives, sea lives, animal lives, or birds, in the air. So that is speaking to all these spheres where there is life. And so and these are the places you can get feedback. You get feedback from biospheres, from the fact that animals have their own feedback. Birds have their own feedback. Feedbacks abound around us. So it's not okay. The fact that it's mental doesn't mean that it's not like, no, so far you are living, it's only the living that can have mental stress. The dead cannot have mental stress. And from our social or relational spaces, we also get feedback from there. We get feedback from our social or relational space, and then from our emotional and spiritual being. We also get feedback emotionally or spiritually. So, these are like broad and they're physical or material. When there are certain things that we do and we just hit it and we get material abundance, or we have physical abundance, it's feedback. It can also be the negative, it can be lack or death. Death, not death as in death, somebody dies, but death in terms of scarcity, DEARTH. There's a difference between death, that is death leading to somebody dying and not becoming inanimate, or death, which is scarcity, DEARTH. That's what I mean. So when there's lack, when there's scarcity, it's also a feedback of a sort. So life gives us feedback. I can see some comments. I will just take time to read them while before I now continue. Okay, Mary is telling us that I believe life gives us feedback. Isn't that what we sometimes call experiences? Yes. So experience is also a feedback. And Mary is of the opinion that yes, life gives us feedback in experiences. Linus, nice to have you here today. Life does give feedback when you put a positive energy and get the desired result. That feedback, that the negative result will challenge you to want to do more. Okay, it's going American way now, I want to do more. So that's a feedback. That's a feedback. What energy flashing, either a class of energy will either lead to positive reaction or negative reaction, maybe depending on which energy is superior or which one is more malleable, that is easy to bend. And that gives us feedback in terms of result. And then we will now challenge the result. That can lead to another round of feedback. And I think, Femi Victor also said that life absolutely gives feedback. Everyone reaps what they sow. Yes, the law of seed and harvest is as immutable as life itself. You cannot plant corn and expect to reap mango. So planting corn automatically dictates the kind of feedback you're going to get in harvest, which is corn. For instance, in school, after 4 or 5 years, the result of each person's is a testament of their self-discipline and management of time with regards to studying or etc. So it now also goes to give us how that is exemplified in school. And also, that I said, also at work as well, in the marketplace, in the public space, we all see this feedback that lives. Thanks, guys, for all these very beautiful comments. If you still have more, please feel free to drop them, or you can stop me and then say what you want to say. And these are often experienced down from that broad classification. We now have the closer ones that we can easily relate to, because I can say psychological feedback, and then it will make no sense to anybody. But when you are not talking in terms of pain and pleasure, pain is a feedback. Pleasure is also a feedback. Do something and you get instant pain. You know that, hey, this thing, I'm not supposed to do it again, or I'm supposed to break this pain barrier. Or you start to say you get pleasure, so wow, this is sweet, I need to do more of this. Or, hey, this pleasure can lead to something else. Then compliments and criticism are feedbacks that we get from close ones, from people who are not even close to us, people who are exposed to our work, and they compliment it or they criticize it. Encouragement and discouragement are also feedback that life gives us. Failure or success are feedback that lives also, gives us. Fear and excitement are forms of feedback. Comfort and discomfort are also feedback. Ease and difficulty, ease of doing something, we do something easily, or we do something and we are struggling there, those are feedback. And then lack versus abundance are also a form of feedback. These are some of the ways life gives us feedback. We have to be able to see them the way they are, that they are feedback, and know what kind of feedback they are. And which is what takes us to the next slide, which is it a test feedback or an actual feedback? It's not every pain that is a negative feedback. It's not every pain that is and it's not every pleasure that is a positive feedback. We have to be able to know there are some pains that you need to experience in order to break certain barriers, to become better, to become stronger, to become fitter, or to earn more, or to just achieve your aim. So the fact that I want to do this and I'm experiencing pain, I want to be doing push-up every day, it's not always going to be easy for me to start doing 100 push-up when I'm just starting. But by continuing doing it, I will continue to get through the barrier of the pain barrier, maybe from 5 to 10 to 20 and all that I'm going. That's a pain, but that at the end of that pain, I'm going to be fitter, I'm going to be stronger. And it's not every pleasure, it's not everything. The fact I take cake and I love the way it tastes in my mouth doesn't mean that I now start taking cake every time I have the urge. Otherwise, I will lose control of my weight totally. So we have to be able to balance the feedback. And motivational speakers and all that will tell us, okay, yeah, the fact that life is giving you this pain doesn't mean you should do more. No, we also have to balance that. The fact that you want to, if you put your finger in a fire, fire will burn your finger. And the fact that you have that doesn't mean that, yes, by letting the fire burn your finger, then you can you do it more. No, you ruin that hand. So you have to know what is even the pain for in the first place. There are some that is a no. Don't do it, except your what's it called now? Except what you are doing or your goal has to do with burning with fire. Maybe you are a goldsmith, you are a blacksmith you have to be exposed to fire, really. Nobody will encourage you to start putting your hands in fire. For God's sake, what are you trying to achieve? So you've got to be able to balance the feedback. Is it a test feedback? Is it test feedback when it's helping you to become better? Though it may not be so pleasant, but by doing it, you are being tested, you are being built, your resource is being developed to do better, to become fitter, to become stronger, to become richer. If you want to become richer, you don't spend every money that comes to your account or that comes to your hand. So that's that discipline of holding on and not just spending everything. It's also, you won't feel comfortable doing it, but by maintaining over time, that helps you to now become richer because you now have more to be able to invest. So you've got to be able to know this feedback I'm getting. Is it a test feedback? Is it meant to test me, to get me to become better? Or this is just a feedback that is actual, it's a fake feedback. If I'm getting a feedback and it's just to just give me a false sense of importance, a false sense of accomplishment, I've got to know, is it a fake feedback? Is it an actual, is it a test feedback? Or is it an actual feedback? So when you have compliments, there are some compliments that are actually just they are not actually genuine. Some people can praise you for what, and they are just playing lip service. So you have to know this feedback I'm getting. Hey, I hope it's not a fake one. It's not meant to just lead me astray. So you got to know what is the feedback about. The feedback, is it genuine? Is it actual, or is it a test feedback? When I'm doing something and I'm facing criticism, are criticism meant to actually break me or meant to make me, to help me to improve my processes, to improve myself? So you've got to be able to identify and stratify what kind of feedback it is. You have to be able to balance it. Encouragement can be both positive and negative feedback. It depends on what you are really doing. So this encouraging, I'm getting, I mean, maybe, I mean, it's a river, a running river, and then you are at the bank and you put your leg inside the water, and the water is soothing to your leg. Doesn't mean you should not put your two legs inside the water in a running river. I mean, it's encouraging. So you have to know, yes, that putting your leg in one leg inside it and it's soothing doesn't mean that you should put your two legs there. The water will sweep you away. So you have to be able to know this kind of feedback I'm getting. Is it meant to help me, or is it deceiving me into doing something I'm not supposed to do? And that's where you look at all this encouragement and discouragement, failure or success. What heard of the cases of people who failed several times and then they ended up becoming successful? And that's because what they were doing was worthwhile. And some of us we just go and use that whatever. Oh, this person failed several times, so me too, I should go start doing this thing and start failing. If the feedback you're getting is no, stop, please stop. Don't start to cite the example of somebody who failed many times and then now became successful. It's not always the case. It's not always the case. You've got to know the kind of feedback that life is giving you. The Thomas Edison that we quote and all that, they try to invent the incandescent light for so and so whatever. After how many attempts, he was trying to do something that would help humanity, and he was a scientist. You're not a scientist. You are trying to do something that is not as if it's having any impact on people. Maybe just to aggrandize yourself, and then you are encountering failure, you are encountering difficulties, and you said you are quoting Thomas Edison. You've got to know what is the kind of feedback you are getting, so that you don't go and quote a wrong reference a right reference for the wrong thing. So we need to know what kind of feedback we are receiving. It's very important. Fear or excitement. There are some things you want to do and you feel afraid, genuinely afraid. It doesn't mean that you should stop. Because really, if you want to do something really worthwhile, something really of great impact, there will be an element of fear in it. Because if you look at it, what is going to demand from you, what is going to ask of you in terms of maybe you will not be able to sleep as long as you will have wanted to sleep, you have to spend more of your time, your energy, your resources. You will have this healthy fear. That doesn't mean that you should stop. That doesn't mean that fear is saying, no, don't do it. And there are some things you think about what you do and you feel excited. That doesn't mean that excitement means that it's going to work. You have to know what kind of feedback you are getting. You have to balance a feedback. You have to be able to identify, is it a fake one? Is it a deceptive feedback? Is it an actual, or is it a test feedback? Is it a test meant to get you to do it and then build the result, build a stronger person out of you, get a better process from the whole effort? And then comfort versus discomfort. What kind of feedback are we getting? Am I getting from, I'm feeling comfortable doing this? Yes. Does that mean that, yes, I'm meant to be doing it? No. Most people like to sleep now. Is there anybody that doesn't like to sleep? So if you now use the whole day to sleep and you are feeling good, you are feeling good and cozy, does that mean that you should now be sleeping all day? Whereas the good book says that a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hand to rest calls for poverty. So the fact that it's comfortable, I feel comfortable sleeping. It doesn't mean that I now sleep my whole day off. So you've got to know what kind of feedback you are getting, and then what is it going to be, what is going to yield for you at the end of the day if you indulge it. And this is very, very important. And then ease and difficulty, the fact that, okay, when you're talking in terms of purpose, people say, okay, man, whatever I enjoy doing, that's indication of my purpose. No, it's not always the case. Purpose doesn't mean that it's something that you enjoy, that you do with ease. No, I don't even think that speaks to your purpose. Maybe your hobby. I mean, if you look at people who actually fulfill purpose, do you think they are having, if you just, I don't want to mention names, that's why I very like to just use the scripture so that I don't mention somebody's name and all that. If you look at some of the people that you think you can see these people, they are fulfilling their purpose, do you think they're really having a good time all through and they are enjoying their lives? When you are doing that, it makes more demand of you, more demands. Maybe you don't get to rest as much time as an average person does. You don't get to sleep as an average person does. You don't get to do things. So yes, maybe you will enjoy a certain area, but you also suffer in certain areas. So you have to know, what is it the ease? What is this ease? Is it a deceptive ease? Or is it a genuine one? Or is it a deceptive? Or is it a test one? So you have to know what kind of ease you are experiencing, what kind of feedback the ease is giving you. Is it meant to make me better? Is it meant to make me stronger? Is it deceiving me, is misleading me, or is it guiding me on the right path? And then lack versus abundance. I'm doing something and I'm not getting financial rewards for it. I'm not getting the kind of returns on my investment. Does that mean that, yes, they said that if I persist, I would eventually break? You're going to waste all your resources on, hey, maybe that investment is not meant for you. Maybe what you are doing is not actually meant for you to do, to focus on. You've got to know. Is this being deceptive? Is it a testing one? Or is it actual? Is it going to help me? Is it going to, at the end of the day? So you have to know, if you are doing something, you've been doing it for several years and life is not giving you back resources from that, that means you need to consider your stand and then see, do I need to navigate my way somewhere else? What am I really meant to do? Because the taste of the pudding, as the white people say, is in the eating. There will always be a feedback. Life always gives us feedback. God gives us feedback. We will get feedback from people. From people, we get feedback. So I need to order now so that we can. And how do you identify life's feedback? You have to do that by examination. You've got to examine. Either you are being examined, maybe in a school setting, by getting, okay, sorry, I was trying to move my screen and then examination, we get feedback when we do examinations, of course, by observation, when we observe what are the things that are happening to us, what are the things that life is throwing my way. That helps me to be able to know the kind of feedback I'm getting. And by meditation, you've got to be a thinker. You've got to be able to think very well to be able to know what kind of feedback life is giving you. If you don't think hard enough, you may not be able to get some of those subtle things, subtle hints that life is giving you about your life, about your career, about your marriage, about your business, about your ministry, or about your whatever it is that you're trying to get the feedback on. You've got to be able to think, to think beyond the average and think critically. What are the kind of feedback that life is giving me? Then from interaction, we get feedback. In our interaction with people, people give us feedback. They may not even know that they are giving us feedback. Maybe in the way they respond to us, in the way they react to us, in the way they engage us, they are giving us feedback. You know, oh, these are people that you should move with, these are people you should not move with. We know those things. We just have to be observant. We have to be intuitive. We have to be able to study, people, study relationships, study interactions. So when we interact with people, or people interact with us, it gives us a feedback somehow. And we're supposed to note those and use those to adjust ourselves. And then repetition is also a form of feedback. When we, in terms of repetition, something keeps happening to us, keep happening. Oh, yes, this is a feedback that, yes, I need to continue. I need to do this more. A repetition helps us to know what feedback, it helps us to identify feedback. If something is happening, a pattern, something keeps happening to you, and it's a feedback of a sort to help you know, yes, this is the right path, or no, this is not the right path. Every time I do this thing, I hit the brick wall. Maybe it means I should change my lane, or I should develop a stronger head so that when I hit the wall will crack and I will pass through. So you've got to know what are the patterns that are being repeated to you. That's an insight of feedback for you. That's an information you need to be able to work with to adjust yourself. And I think that's the next, because this is a two-part series, we are going to now consider how to use life's feedback to improve your game and to enhance your results. How do we use the feedback that life is giving us to improve our game and to improve or enhance our results, our life results, our career results, business results, marital results, social results, economic results, whatever result we want? How do we use the feedback that life is giving us to enhance and then to improve our game? And then there's a take home. We usually do take home. I'm not sure many of us take those assignments, but the one for this month is that you should take some time to examine and write. Maybe what you can do, please, you can just drop this take home, you can drop it in the Thrive group so that we can, those who are willing to take them can see them, and then they will do those can do them on their own leisure and send them in, or let's discuss them at the next Thrive. So take some time to examine and write the feedback that life has been giving you in a particular area or some aspect of your life. They identify their test or their actual feedback, or their even fake feedback. That kind of feedback, are they test, are they actual, or are they fake feedback? Just justify why you think they are test or they are actual. Justify when you are doing your writing, when you are doing the examination, justify that, and let's discuss that at the next meeting. We also have, we have a community where we share some of these things on a daily basis, some of my thinking, some of my thoughts, my meditation and all that. They come in quotes and they come in links for us to also be able to access more materials. And that group can be accessed by, there's a short code, which is bit.ly. When you use the bit.ly link, you type Thrivers, to take you to that group on WhatsApp. Please join us there, and then let's also take the discussion for that. Subsequently, we'll also be sharing the links to the audio, and then the assignments, the take-home will also be updated so that those who are not able to join us can also and access them from there. And I want to say thanks for listening, and apology for those infiltrators we had joining us earlier today. And I don't know if there are any question from any of us. I think that's why we also tasted a bit longer today, because we have to take some time to be able to remove them. So do we have any questions? Any questions, please? Any question, any comment, any observation? If you agree or you disagree, or you have something else to add, please, you have the floor. Let's hear from you. Because our time is fast spent, we may not be able to go the way of comments, but we can take those when you speak, when you say them, rather than when you type them. Okay, if there's no other questions, I want to say thank you very much once again for being here, joining us for this edition of Thrive. We'll meet obviously in April. Thanks, Victor. I see your comment. So we'll meet in April, I think April 26th, April 31st, so April 31st for the second part of this session, which is how to now utilize this, all this feedback we are getting from life. How do we turn them into a system of success that will help us to improve our game, our marital game, financial game, emotional game, social game, business game, whatever game, whatever game we are playing in, or how to improve our results. So on that note, I want to say thank you once again, and do have a wonderful, wonderful week ahead. See you next month.